Oftentimes it's on the optimistic side. Can they get the deal done? They should. This has taken an odd turn in the last 14 hours. What's up in Washington, Tom?
Well, Jamie, Terry McLaurin officially requested a trade from the Commanders yesterday. This was the logical and perhaps final button that McLaurin could push amidst an ongoing standoff over a contract extension. I was at Commanders training camp several days ago. McLaurin's agent, Buddy Baker, was on hand as well. The issue regarding McLaurin and the Commanders has been about what is the value of a guy who consistently is a 1,000-yard receiver. He is a locker room leader, but also closer to age 30, going on to a third contract on a Commanders team that knows they're going to have to pay some of their young players over the next several years here. When McLaurin signed his last deal, it was market value. He's due a little under $20 million this year, but the $20 million receiver a few years ago is now the $30 million a year receiver right now. If McLaurin is going to do a new deal, it's going to have a 3 in front of it in terms of the average per year. The Commanders, who love Terry McLaurin, just aren't there in terms of the contract. So what do? He held out. Now he's effectively holding in, though technically he's on the physically unable to perform list with an ankle injury that had lingered from last season. If he's going to sign a new contract, there's only so many different things that you can do to try to push that thing forward. The trade request is sort of the last thing that you could attempt here, Jamie. That's what McLaurin is doing. And we'll see what interest, if any, Washington has in actually trading away one of their most important players on a team that just was in the NFC Championship game last year.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Commanders, we saw the fun side of a Hail Mary happen last season. This is a different kind of Hail Mary. Terry McLaurin's trying to get this thing done with the Commanders. Sarah Walsh, Tom Pelissero, thank you so much. We'll see you guys later on Inside Training Camp Live, noon Eastern on NFL Network. All right, Manti, now we know. Unfortunately, there's the PUP list. There's all these kind of lists. This is the trade request list, and put Terry McLaurin's name at the top.
First, that was a great Hail Mary pool. I love that, Jamie. I mean, that was beautiful. Anyway, in regards to this trade, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it's come to this point, in my opinion. Terry McLaurin has done everything right since his time of being in Washington. He's been one of the big focal points of that team for some years now. He's been a great teammate. He's never gotten in trouble. Have you ever heard of him getting in trouble, Jamie? No, he's never in the newspapers for bad things. He's only in newspapers for doing things like this, catching touchdowns and Hail Marys and all of that stuff. But I look at this Commanders team and I look at Terry McLaurin and his role there, and we talk a lot about the Chargers on how slim that wide receiver room is. The Commanders room now is slim. I know they signed Deebo Samuel, but Deebo Samuel is a compliment to Terry McLaurin. He isn't somebody to replace him. So I think it's unfortunate. I don't think we all know where it's going to go, but I hope it trends in the right direction. It seems like it's not going to, or it seems like it's not going that way. But I got to say, it's unfortunate.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it reminds me of what we talked about yesterday. Once you hit that age 30, it's like the negotiations flip on the other side. Right now, like if I'm the Commanders, I can see them looking at this situation like, okay, he wants top tier money. Sure, he probably earned it, and he had 13 touchdowns, which I think was second in the league last year. But you're also looking, let's go south. You're looking at Mike Evans, another person who was consistently a 1,000-yard receiver, and I think he signed like a 2-year, $40 million deal, like something small, but still got the guarantees that he was looking for. So maybe Terry wants more money or something longer, or maybe Commanders are like, hey, maybe we'll give you a certain amount of money, but shorter term. So I can see them, maybe they're battling, comparing it with that, because if we're going to go consistency, I mean, Mike Evans, he deserves top tier money. We're talking like that. So it's unfortunate because, like you said, the main consistent person for that team, despite all the drama that organization went through, has been Terry.
It's a tough one. It really is. Because, you start to sort of appreciate both sides. I think a lot of people in the media, myself certainly sometimes, we get very, very caught up in the player side. And you start to say, oh, he's such a good guy, and he's so solid, and he's so consistent, and he's the face of the franchise, and all this. And all that stuff is true. But this is still a business arrangement. And you have to look at someone like Adam Peters, the Commanders GM, and be like, we love Terry. Obviously, we know he's a nice guy. He's going to be 30 in a couple weeks. He's asking for $30-something million a year. Like, we love Terry. He's not Jamar Chase. He's not Justin Jefferson. Even if he was their age, he's not those guys. He's very good. He's getting a little older. We have to remind ourselves that, again, the best contracts are not rewards for what you've done. It's investments in what you're going to do. And that would make it simple. The problem for the Commanders is, in some lightning strike scenario in which Terry McLaurin suddenly wasn't a Commander anymore, Then they're risking Jaden. And Jaden is everything. Like, you can't compromise Jaden in year 2. You can't have, oh my God, McLaurin's gone. Go out there without sufficient receivers. Like, then you're jeopardizing everything because Terry McLaurin is a good player. Jaden is the company. Like, you have to continue to support him. So if you think in any way that we just can't come to a deal with Terry, we love him, but I think we got this great offer here from the Patriots, the Raiders, whoever. We can't leave the cupboard bare for Jaden, or we risk having him step back. So I feel like McLaurin's best leverage isn't that I'm a nice guy and a good player, is that I'm the number 1 wide receiver for the quarterback messiah here in D.C., and you want to have me out here, and that's why it's tough.
Yeah, but messiah or not, Kyle, he's still a second-year player. This isn't Tom Brady or Matt Stafford coming in saying, that's my guy, and I need him here. So maybe the leverage that the young quarterback has isn't tracking with ownership that much. Like, ownership has a business plan, and they have a young quarterback that they are trying to capitalize in the next 4 years when he's cheap and when he's talented. So, Kyle, I'll ask you this. When things like this have happened at this juncture in the league season, in the league calendar, and it is a player of this nature, how often do you see this thing transpire where the player does get traded and we got to track it? Or do you feel like, does this have a sense where, you know what, this might work out because of the reason you just said, that Jaden Daniels is the messiah?
Yeah, look, it's early. It's August 1st. I think typically the player stays with the team. It takes a lot for a trade like this to happen. You saw somebody like Brandon Ayuk ends up staying with the team, ends up getting paid. I just think, like, there was no way the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to let T.J. Watt leave. Like, that was their guy. There was no scenario where that was not going to happen. I don't know if the Commanders feel that way about Terry McLaurin. Similar guy and what he's meant to the team and how he's looked at, and there's a lot of jerseys in the stands. Not as important of a player. But I think to answer the question, it takes a lot of inertia movement to move a guy like this in the summer. And also, I'll ask you guys at the table, like, also a team has to want to trade for a 30-year-old wide receiver and pay him. And maybe it is someone who says, screw it, let's take a run at this thing. But is there a trade partner out there that's going to be like, we need Terry McLaurin now on this team for $30 million a year if we give him a new deal?
Well, if you bring up that scenario, KB, there's a team that just played last night that if you add him to that from what they were able to do, I'm referring to the Chargers with McConkey. And, oh, boy, good luck, NFL. But I think when I was listening to Tom P. KB, I heard a term that he said in there, and he said market value. I think that is it's such a specific term that when you look at Terry McLaurin, he's not looking to make, again, I'm not in these contract, nobody is, we're not in these contract negotiations, but he's not looking to make what Jamar Chase them are making. He's looking to make market value, whatever he's worth. And if you look at the guys that are in the $30 million range, you got Monroe, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins is like 28, almost 29. I think that's where he's trying to get. Again, I'm not his representative. I don't know. But I think it's fair to say that somebody who has done so much, but KB does bring some points of where they're going in the future of this franchise, to consider that he's not trying to be the big dog. He's just trying to get what he feels he deserves. And I think he deserves that.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a unique situation. And you're right. Like, who's going to want to trade for someone like Terry? And I think there's going to be a lot of suitors. And if anybody, it would be somebody either who is like Super Bowl ready or someone who's truly going all in and who has the money, who has the cap space. And I look at someone like the Steelers. Like, right now, they're in a situation where, yes, you went and got Aaron Rodgers because you are truly going all in. And why not have 2 number ones out there if you're really trying to make it happen this year? You're not just trying to make the playoffs. You're really trying to get into the Super Bowl. So if he's out there and it's a legit a trade, like, obviously it's negotiation. So agents are going to say things. There's going to be trade requests. You're going to hear different things in the media. But if you're in a situation where you're like, man, this guy can come in and help us right now. I mean, it's essentially what the Rams did, right? They went and got Devontae Adams, even though they lost Cooper Kupp. So now they have 2 number ones with him and Puka. So why not? That's been the trend. Bengals are doing it.
Yeah.
I can see Pittsburgh doing it.
Well, you talk about the hypotheticals, and the reason why I brought up the Chargers is the Chargers got Ladd McConkey. We just saw last night that they're well-tuned, oiled machine right now. Like, something about preseason, it reveals your discipline, like your execution. You can't really take anything else from it, but they executed well, and they have a really good run game. Now, they do have Ladd McConkey, who is a slot wide receiver So for those short to medium routes, he's an expert in that. But you need somebody on the outside or outside of him that can stretch the field. And that's all Terry McLaurin has done during his whole career in the NFL is stretch the field. Like, get vertical, take the safety out of there. Now when you pair those two guys up, Ladd McConkey and somebody like Terry McLaurin, that's where you get that offense. Or defensively, you're looking at it, you're like, man, this is going to be a monster to take on.
Listen, Jaden Daniels has played 3 career playoff games. In all 3 playoff games, he threw a touchdown to Terry McLaurin. That's a big thing to take away. And if you do that, if that were to happen, and let's say Jaden takes a step back this year, that's on your hands then. Watch those playoff games. The first one against the Bucs, he targeted him 10 times. He looks for McLaurin. He looks for Ertz, those old veterans. It's tough to take away your franchise's favorite toy. I think they have to find a way to keep him there.
I think he sees the field better now than he did even 2 years ago. I can't speak before then. Right. I can just speak to how he sees the field based on what we're doing offensively. And and the players that we have in the system. And I really do. I only think he's just getting started with his ability. He's always had the ability as a playmaker and to run with the ball. But his ability as he's improved greatly, which is a huge credit to him, in his ability to throw the football to win at all times of the game.
Lamar Jackson has a handful of playoff games under his belt, but January is always tricky for him. His head coach, John Harbaugh, though, also had nice words to compound the praise for the quarterback yesterday, saying, quote, he can throw it every kind of way. He can make every kind of throw any way you want. He's as good as any passer that there's ever been. And I think now the numbers are proving that. All right, Harbaugh, Monken, Lamar Jackson does have a couple of MVP rings, but he hasn't been able to get this thing done in the playoffs. He's 3-5 in the postseason, so our whiteboards are out, our markers are uncapped, and you have a one-word assignment. What is the one word, fill in the blank, if you will, to describe Lamar Jackson's career so far, Manti?
Well, to describe it in one word is a challenge, but I'm going to take on that challenge. It's unfinished, okay? He's been in the league for 7 years. Yep. He's accomplished so many great things. He currently holds the record for the most rush yards by a QB in NFL history, 2-time MVP. The list goes on and on and on as far as the accolades. But when it comes to the playoff, you mentioned it, Jamie, when it comes to the playoff, there has been unfinished business there. He's been to the playoffs every year except 2 years of his career. He's played in an AFC championship. And so, therefore, not only is his career unfinished as to the excitement to what he can accomplish and will accomplish in this league, but it's also unfinished to the fact of he's accomplished so much, but there's still unfinished business to get to the Super Bowl, to get past the Chiefs, to represent the Baltimore Ravens the way he wants to, the way that he said he wanted to when he got drafted, that he wanted to win a Super Bowl for him. So it's unfinished for me, Will.
Yeah, for me, the word I have is evolutionary. And that's the word I think of when it comes to Lamar, because he when he first came into the league, right, when he was getting looked at, obviously all the highlights, what he's done, he was known as being too raw, as a true runner, and that's all he can do. But then by year 2, he's a unanimous MVP. And he's in a system where Greg Roman, that was built for his legs. So everyone's like, okay, maybe if we take away the run, he can't do much. Okay, let's bring in a new coordinator in Todd Monken. And then he ends up winning MVP, being a more sophisticated passer. And the other thing, too, is for me, I was like, how is he commanding the offense with a mouthpiece in it, with a pacifier mouthpiece? Yep. And he's still able to command it. So the thing for me is, like, he has evolved, and he was able to master 2 systems. And that is, for me, that is absolutely outstanding. And he really changed and revolutionized how the game is now as a quarterback. Because right now, the last 2 quarterbacks to win MVP were equally good passers and equally good runners when you look at Lamar and Josh Allen. So for him, just evolutionary is what I have for Lamar.
Well, I had to Google and make sure that my word was one word and not 2 words, but it is one word. Mailman. That's Lamar is Karl Malone for me. And for the love of God, we'll keep it on the court and the field for Karl Malone's sake. 2-time MVP, arguably the greatest at his position, unbelievable phenom, hugely respected player, dominance, no one could contain him. 2-time MVP, I just couldn't get over the hump. And maybe that's not going to be Lamar. Maybe Lamar will end up being somebody who breaks through. But it's okay. To calling you the football equivalent of Karl Malone on the basketball court in the football field is a massive compliment. I think it's either him or Duncan as the greatest power forward ever. Two-time MVP, no title, always just left you that little thing that you were hoping that he might get one if you're a Jazz fan or a Malone fan. Same place with Lamar. It's a testament to his greatness that it's hard to talk about him and his legacy without constantly saying, yeah, but he still has to. But that's how good he is, and that's how the conversation has to go. That's sports.
It's a good take. It's a good parallel, Kyle. I want to make sure I'm going to ask the production to clear the lower third before I show my word, because I don't really want the screen grab to live on because people are going to be so mad at me. I just want to try this out because I think this actually would be how Lamar Jackson might assess his career one word way through. I mean, the numbers are prolific. We get it. Two-time MVP, blah, 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 blah. But the playoff thing and the Super Bowl thing, I bet if you ask Lamar Jackson, maybe like, it's been mid. Is that Kyle? Could he say it? Could he dare say it? Because I'm sure if you ask him, hey, the numbers are amazing. If you listed all the 4,000 yard, this, that, he'd be like, it's all right. I want to be there. I want to be in late January. I want to be in early February. So I wonder if he would say this. But thank you, production. I appreciate you having my back for not the screen grab. I needed it. Don't do it. Don't.
There's a picture behind you, though, Jamie. There's a Lamar picture right over the word mid. There it is.
Block it.
It's too late, girl.
Wait,
She gone.
MVP.
Get her. Get her. She gone.
Kyle, one of the things that was not on the field last night was something we were so used to, which is our band of merry men coming out on the field and measuring to see where the ball is placed. Can you just, Kyle, before we start this conversation, give us a brief history of maybe how we got here with what you're used to seeing if you're a football fan and what we will not be seeing moving forward?
All right, so it's a third down, a fourth down. Somebody gets tackled. You're not really sure if you got the first down or not, even with the yellow line on the broadcast. So for years and years and years and decades, they bring out the chain gang, and it's someone literally who grabs the chain, walks out, puts it down on the mark, and then they pull the orange stick and stick it down, and the ball sometimes comes up short. Sometimes you don't think it does. Sometimes you're not sure if it does. It always has felt very archaic to us, especially recently. Most famously, 2017, Gene Steratore, now an employee of CBS, was the referee at the time. And this is Dak Prescott, okay, and he sneaks it and he gets in, and like Steratore said, I'm not really sure if it's to the stick or not, but I got a card. Can I fit a card in between the ball and the stick? He could. Look what he says. That's Gene. Great guy. Love Gene. First down. And Jack's saying, well, hold on. If you can stick a card in between it, why is it a first down? And Jason Garrett saying, no, it is a first down. So people online are saying, wait a second. We got crazy technology with which to manage this and measure this. Maybe we should implement it. And I think this league loves its history and it loves the purity and it doesn't like change of the optics. But here we go. Virtual measurement last night in this game. They have it digitally. They put it up right away. It saves a lot of time. They said this will take about 30 seconds, whereas the chain gang measurement will take close to 90 seconds. They used it last night. Guys, seem pretty seamless, but I know a lot of times people see technology and they get scared and the computer is taking over. Maybe I have some purists at the table. What did you guys think of it?
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was a great attempt at the NFL to try to make this game a little bit more accurate, try to take the error out of there. But we have a question later on in the show. What's something that doesn't take long, but it feels like forever? KB, you know when they start to stretch that chain and it's like fourth and inches and that's that one moment that it's not that long. It's like 5 seconds, but it seems like
exciting.
It's forever. And then there's a celebration at the end. Like that's what I'm going to miss a lot when we start to implement that. But I think when you look at the NFL and how they're doing things, it's more efficient, it's more accurate, and then therefore could create, and the result is a better game. And so I liked it. I'm going to miss those celebrations
that makes sense.
after you get a stop
I am too.
Or the gasp of disappointment, too. You know, that
little runoff.
track as well.
And it'll be instant, right? It'll be instant. And I first was like looking at it, I'm like, you know what? Football fans are going to be in the uproar. But we use it in other sports. We use it in tennis. We use it in baseball. We use it in all these other sports. So why not bring it to football? But no one's going to be happy regardless.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's going to be quicker. Move the game along.
Yeah.
Kyle.
I got to say, Manti, Manti just got me revved up. The technology looks good, but there is that awesome moment where they got it down and they pull that thing and they were about to, and you can, as a viewer, you're like, oh my God, I don't know if it's short, I don't know if it's long. Now, if they get it in the first down, usually the referee will give this big, emphatic first down and they'll be all fired up. But the best is, though, when that sucker is coming down and you're like, oh my God, it's going to be short. And the defense loses their mind, runs off the field, celebrates. It is a great moment. They run off the field like college basketball kids run off the bench after a buzzer beater.
Yep.
Now that I'm saying it, I like the technology, but I do love that planting of the stick. It is an exciting little moment in the game.
They feel like they were part of the team or part of the broadcast. The league now, after having watched it last night, they're beginning to weigh in. So everyone's at training camp. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel, he had to take this morning now. We just have the sound coming in. Now he's got a response to seeing the game with the new technology.
Unfortunately, are we going to have less players running into humans standing with metal sticks? Because if that's the case, I don't want any part of it.
Why is there any other way to answer that question than that way if you're Mike McDaniel? No, yes, coach, less humans with metal sticks for which players could run into potentially. It's training camp. Judy, thank you for joining us. Bear with us with our antics this morning. We got a Pro Bowl wide receiver you're looking at, Malik Neighbors. He was dealing with an injury earlier this week. How's he looking at practice? What's the mood at the Giants today?
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about Malik Neighbors' shoulder anymore after the performance he put on here yesterday. Russell Wilson rolled to his right, launched the ball about 50 yards in the air. It was a patented Russ Moon ball. And Malik Neighbors, who was in really good coverage, here's the play actually, really good coverage here, battles the coverage and just comes down with it. This is just like what Malik Neighbors has been doing in training camp at making these crazy catches. I talked to people with the Giants. I was out here on Sunday, and the word they use is special. He and Russ have had a really good chemistry going so far in training camp. They actually spent some time together in the offseason, and Russ told us he's really impressed by Neighbors, the questions he has, not just about football questions on the field, but things about how to take care of your body, how to take care of your mind. Russ said he's not just a physical freak. He said he wants to be an all-time great, and he's got the ability to get there. Russ said it's his job to help him get there, and certainly the looks of this training camp, they have a really nice connection going.
Judy, let's get back into the quarterback room in general. It is really a loaded deck. I mean, what a fascinating room. You have Russell Wilson on his fourth team in 5 years. You have this confident rookie Jackson Dart. You have the clown prince of the NFL, Jameis Winston. That's not even to mention cultural icon Tommy DeVito. Like, tell us about the room, particularly Russell and Jackson.
They, meaning the Giants, love both of them. They love Russell Wilson here. I can tell you, I've been around this team a long time, in good days and bad days. He has brought an energy here and a positivity that somebody in the Giants organization said to me, we needed that. They needed the positivity, right? They needed not just the veteran experience and all of that, but they needed somebody to build up these players. And you see Russell Wilson going around, not just offensive players, defensive players. He makes a point of name-checking everyone. So they love him. Jackson Dart, they're really encouraged by what they have seen from Jackson Dart. They use the words like moxie and grit. Not just his football intelligence. He's certainly got an arm. He's got a ways to go. But they love his emotional intelligence. They said he's the kind of guy who could go to a Broadway show with you one night and then the next day go hunting with you. So they love how he is connecting to everybody in the room. You're right. There's a lot of personality in that quarterback room. Honestly, Hard Knocks should just do Giants quarterback room. I would definitely watch that. It would be awesome. But for the two ones that we've all been keying on, Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart, the Giants right now are thrilled with what they've got.
That's good. Good for them. That's exactly where you want to be in early August. Judy Battista, thank you so much. Dare I say, stay warm at Giants training camp today. All right, Judy? We appreciate you. All right?
Yes, it's cold. Thank you.
Well, bless you. Get a blanket. This question mark as you see it right now in this division, the NFC East, Manti.
Well, it's got to be who's going to challenge the Eagles. That's the same question that every division asks themselves when they get into a new season is how do we defeat the champs? And so let's go through the division a little bit. The Giants, that Russ to Malik Neighbors report, I think that's been the report that has been the loudest one coming out of that camp is Malik Neighbors has found a best friend in Russell Wilson, and that moon ball is well and alive. Now, I do like the defense over there with their front where they have Burns, Thibodeau, Lawrence, and Carter. Abdul Carter in the clips, he's been a wrecking ball. He's just been getting in the backfield. Now, that's going to be important when you have to come by and play Jalen Hurts and keep him in the middle. Now, Commanders, you got the offensive stuff. And Von Miller, I think adding him has been a great addition and will be a great addition. They're going to use him in certain situations, not all. And then the Cowboys, I think the things that have stood out to me about the Cowboys camp is this George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb thing. It's very, very real. And George Pickens seems to be very, very comfortable there. So I'm excited for Dak Prescott and that whole entire offense to have that addition. So when you look at all of those teams, that's going to be the biggest question for me, Kyle, about who's going to dethrone the champs. And each one of them have their own weaknesses and they have their own strengths.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the four teams. There's a couple period teams. There's an exclamation point team, and there's definitely a question mark team. It's the Giants. Did the Giants have anything this year? I know that's overarching. Are they going to be a factor this year? Is Brian Daboll loving Russell Wilson like he's saying great now? Will that continue once the season starts? There's a lot of things in that quarterback room, a lot of dynamics and personalities and potential. Russell Wilson has a very odd job. You're the man now, but you know you won't be in the future. I don't know. It's unusual. But the fact is, if the Giants flipped the table and showed up and were really good, there should be a lot of surprises. I don't know if you've looked at any of the odds for win totals, but it's below 500 significantly. There's people out there who say if the Giants are 7-10 this year, they did a great job. I'm not saying that, but they are by far like the question mark team in the division. So the most fascinating thing would if they showed up and started answering some of those questions.
Yeah, my biggest question about this year is, can Jaden Daniels do it again? You know, he was the darling last year. He had amazing, outstanding highlights, historical highlights, brought his team to the NFC Championship game. But can he do it again? Can he avoid the sophomore slump? Now defenses have film. People understand what he can and can't do. Is he able to replicate that? You know, is he going to fall into the line of like a Baker Mayfield year two slump, RG3 year two slump, Dak? You know, where they had these year two slumps. But I think he's going to do fine because the difference is he's more well equipped, kind of like how Burrow, Hurts, and Lamar were with their team. So I think hopefully he would avoid that. But that's my biggest question. Can he do it again?
All right, Kyle said there's an exclamation point team. I think I'll follow his lead and go there. Yesterday, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni spoke with Colleen Wolfe and Mark Ross about the working dynamic between the coach and the executive vice president and general manager Howie Roseman.
His job is to get the best talent in here with the right guys. My job is our job as coaches is to develop that talent and get them better at, playing football and put them in the right positions to succeed. But yeah, Howie and I have talked so much. How does this player fit into the offense? How does this player fit into the defense? And that's the constant communication. Here's how we might use this guy. Here's how we would. Here's what we see, the vision, right?
All right, now we're going to have a more specific assignment within the NFC East. If you are going to answer Howie Roseman in this, I understand, but think outside the box. Who is the most important person in this division right now, Will?
The most important person in this division is Jalen Hurts. He's the best player on the best team in the entire NFL. And just his identity, his personality, his mindset, all these things that he does, like the RPOs, the quarterback sneak, the deep shot, the physical runs, the mental makeup of who he is why this Eagles team does so well. I mean, people can say, yeah, anyone can play in this offense, but I don't think so because they don't carry the same desire, the same mindset of Jalen Hurts. Like, if I were to pick a quarterback to lead my team first of all, from a mental perspective, it's going to be Jalen Hurts. Just what he does, he's able to, keep the team calm. Nick Sirianni's able to be calm and trust him in any situation. So I think he's the most important player just because he is the quarterback of the best team in the NFL.
I love you, Jamie. Jamie said not to say Howie Roseman. Okay, that was my answer. And then Jamie was over here trying to help me out by telling me the assistant general manager.
I was like, please, I was trying to demand creativity. Like, don't answer Howie. Come up with something else. And Manti's whole body language went, I was going to answer Howie Roseman. So
I love my sister, but I got to say Howie Roseman, okay? That Howie Roseman is the most important person in the NFC East, guys. Like, there's a reason why the Eagles have distanced themselves is because of Howie Roseman and how he's been drafting the past couple of years. I don't know if we have that graphic, but if we do, please throw it up. Like the guy, you look at all the guys that he drafted. Like these are the guys that he drafted, but more importantly, the guys that he signed, trading for A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Zach Bond. Like all of these are headline topics, headline players that you don't have a Super Bowl if you don't have something like this. Howie has been there ever since Andy Reid was there. He's worked his way up, and every single year, this guy just comes to the NFL draft the offseason, and he just creates a masterpiece. I mean, reports out of campus, Jihad Campbell, their first-round linebacker out of Alabama, is playing defensive end for the second team. For the second team. That just goes to show how stacked this roster is, and so it all has to do with that man, Howie Roseman, and how he's constructed that entire roster. So I'm sorry, James. I know you wanted to.
I accept.
Sometimes I got to get layup.
I do. Yeah,
Howie,
right.
get the layup. So Kyle, that's who I got.
Well, I was going to say, listen, I was going to talk about Jaden Daniels, but screw it. I'm going to change my answer to Howie Roseman now. Let's go. Let's talk more Howie. Bring it in here. That's how we do it. Give me some more Howie. Roll the Howies. The most important. I had a whole case for Jaden Daniels that the Commanders need him to play well, whereas the Eagles, if Jalen Hurts can play just decent, they can still win. But honestly, if you're looking at it from top to bottom, replace any coach, replace the quarterback, like that is the guy with the chessboard. I feel like he has one of those war boards in his office like kings have, where they move their army across the region with the little pieces and everything. And he just owns the entire region. An incredible thing that he did. Remember, they got to one Super Bowl and lost. The fact that he had the chutzpah to go up and draft Carson Wentz and then to replace him with Jalen Hurts, it's a whole big deal that he's done. I was going to have a whole thing on Jaden Daniels, but I think Howie Roseman is right.
It's a Howie
and I
day.
think we should talk more Howie Roseman.
It's a Howie day. Howie Mandel, Howie Long,
If
Howie
Jameis
Day.
Winston, you could classify it as a lot to be said about nothing, but there's something there in Miami with the Dolphins and their quarterback and their wide receiver that we do need to know more about. Today, Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel addressed the fluid relationship between Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill after Tua called it a work in progress.
I'm seeing the daily investment. I'm seeing. I think it's a well-known fact that Tua is the leader of our team in the locker room as the franchise quarterback, and I think there's a lot to be said about a leader saying the hard things. I think there's a lot to be said about Reek and how clear they've been towards each other, so that these conversations that you can say these things and call a spade a spade. I see that as grown man stuff. Ayla's watching. Grown man stuff like that is real. That relationships aren't created in a vacuum of dandelions and daisies. Relationships, real ones, ones that matter. You go through a process of earning and delivering on trust. So what I've seen is it's important. It's important to the players on this team that they are connected to each other, both on the football field and off. And when you have people going in that direction and focused on that, there's only good things that can come from that. So so far so good. I see guys delivering on their words with actions.
Okay, so now that we understand what Mike McDaniel thinks of the makeup of the relationship between quarterback and wide receiver, Manti, you know Tua super well. So how do you interpret what the head coach just said?
Well, I liked how Tua has been going about it. He's been saying what he needed to say in front of the camera, and I'm sure and I'm positive that he's saying the things that he needs to say to his brother Tyreek Hill in the locker room. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be fine. The game of football is nice when 1 and 11 or 10 or whoever is catching the ball is on the same page. So we want to see that for years to come, and it's going to start with the stuff that happens off the football field. And so I'm very, very confident, and I like where it's going, Will.
All right, Will.
I mean, let's just go win games.
You don't want to? There's nothing there for you?
Let's just go. No, I mean, they haven't won a playoff game in 25 years. Like, there's been all kinds of, he got there, they were electric, and then weren't electric. There's been drama in offseason here. You hear, Raheem Mostert, who's upset, saying stuff. It's just like, I don't know. I'm kind of over it. I'm just ready. Let's go win games, Miami. Let's just go win games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, August 1st, we got another 6 weeks of talking about this stuff, and then we'll see if they win games. I hear you. Mike McDaniel just spilt about 10,000 words trying to say that, Tua and Tyreek are doing just fine. Methink thou doth protest too much. I'm hearing about their relationship is a, quote, work in progress. Mm-hmm. They've played together for 3 years
That's
already.
That's what I'm saying.
Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf's relationship is a work in progress. They just met. These two have played together since 2022. That's a little bit weird, guys. I mean, I don't think it's great. I don't think that it is a wonderful relationship. I don't think Tyreek is very happy. I don't think Tua is very happy. Listen, I can't believe Tyreek is still on the team. I thought at the end of last year, when they lose and he says what he says, I think that Tyreek has run its course here in Miami. I think that they'll trade him. He'll be somewhere else, and God bless him. Still there. And remember when he joined Miami, he was blowing up Tua, saying, most accurate pass I've ever played with, amazing. I would love to hear some of that now. But when we are talking about dandelions and daisies and we're working on things and getting to know each other, they've played together for 3 years already. We should be well past that. I don't know. How's your feeling about Miami right now in general? It's early, I know, but I don't know. I'm just tense when I think about the Dolphins. I don't like the aura coming from them. Whatever word you want to use, the energy, the headlines, the body language. I'm nervous about the Dolphins right now. We'll see what happens over the next month.
Couple of observations about Mike McDaniel. While we are used to the head coach of the Dolphins standing up there and using a 1,000-word essay to explain a very simple situation, I do think that he almost overdid it, to Kyle's point, on this specific topic, because this feels like your friend that sits down and is just constantly trying to justify staying in a relationship that just doesn't feel right. And the fact that he called it at the beginning, if you remember back, he called it they're putting in a daily investment into the relationship. If you're that friend sitting across the coffee shop, you're like, it feels like you're putting a lot of effort in here for something. Are we getting the fruition out of this? Secondly, to say that relationships aren't built in a vacuum of dandelions and daisies, you could have said daisies and roses, Mike. You picked a weed as the other example. The dandelion's a weed. Oftentimes it's like an invasive plant that's growing in places that you don't want it to be. Kyle, I mean, the dandelion selection to me was very triggering, because at this point, what are we looking at then, and who's the weed?
Well, the weed culture has changed dramatically. We know that, Jamie. But
I mean, he's on the sideline doing it.
Dramatically changed. It's not demonized like it used to be. It does a lot of good for a lot of people. We know that. But listen, dandelions, daisies, every rose has its thorn. We'll see what the relationship is. It's like we tend to stay positive on the show. We try. We really do. But if we say we love all 32 teams this year, it's nonsense. It's myopic. Nobody believes that. If you were to pick a week where we have our first story about Tyreek and Tua maybe not getting along, it would probably go with the under. I'm trying to stay positive, but this is a crazy segment.
Live has been happening all week, and it still continues today at noon Eastern on NFL Network. But this here is Camp GMFB. Okay, we have compiled some of our favorite sound and sights from training camp thus far. And we're going to start with Ben Johnson, who said yesterday that it was going to be the longest day of practice, and it was going to determine who's ready to stay and work versus who is not ready to do that.
Really excited about today. We should be our longest practice yet, and told the team last night this is where we'll get a great chance to evaluate just who's here to survive through training camp and who's really wanting to thrive and become king of the mountain. So we'll see who's out there to compete. It'll be long. It'll be hard.
All right. So that's Ben Johnson just saying, come on, who's here to stay and who's here to put the work in? So here's the question. We're looking for the king of the NFC North. And if we are going to apply this and make a parallel to a medieval series on television, medieval, who do we think the king of the NFC North would be, Kyle?
Well, if we were doing this segment in 2019, if we were just playing this era of football in 2019, we would do so many Game of Thrones segments about Dan Campbell. We would do it over and over and over because he's just perfect. He's everybody. He's the Hound. He's the Mountain. He's Baratheon. He's Ned Stark. He's just all of those things. The beard, the shoulders. He also appears like he could hang with the free folk north of the wall. He is everything those series are all about. And he shows up on the battlefield and wins and screams and pumps his fist. That's the kind of guy I'm looking for on the wall. That's my guy. What do you guys got?
I like that, KB. Now, I took instead of Game of Thrones, I went Vikings. I medieval times, Vikings. And I looked at Dan Campbell. He's more of a Bjorn Ironside, like that guy he fears nothing. He's amazing in war and all of that stuff. But that guy, when I say king, when you talk about war, there's some level of deception in there. So I had to go with Brian Flores in that defense, where you're looking at a defensive coordinator that uses deception everywhere. It makes your enemy think that you're in one place when you're actually in the other, and that's how you win wars. Like, you obviously want to send somebody like Dan Campbell in there, the Bjorn, to kind of penetrate the forces or the gates, whatever you want to call it. But you have to have the brains behind it with Brian Flores in that defense. So if I'm looking at the king of the NFC North. And that reference to the Vikings, it's got to be Brian Flores in the Minnesota Vikings.
The medieval meddler, if you will. Go ahead, Will.
Well, if this were a medieval saga, I would have the king of the North is Jared Goff. Jared Goff, he is the one that was doubted, the one that was dismissed, the one that was sent far north to the ice wall, the one that was exiled from the house of Rams, the one who had to go to the icy wall in Detroit where hope had long frozen over. He came back there like Jon Snow. He did not ever complain. He did not crown himself. He did nothing there but put his head down. He went to work. He ignited the fans. He ignited the culture. He ignited the people, and eventually took over and became king of the North. So Jared Goff, he's the man that I think is the king of the North.
Hey, Mr. Phelps, we have a problem. Did you know that 1 in 3 Ravens cannot swim?
We have a solution for you, sir. Come to Ravens training camp in this beautiful aquatic center and teach us how to swim.
He said 1 in 3 Ravens.
I like it.
1 in 3 Ravens don't know how to swim, so they're asking a Baltimore legend, Michael Phelps, to help. The most decorated swimmer in the history of the Olympics. He's got it. Phelps has been all over the Ravens. He's done the welcoming the team on the field, so he's into this. A day ago, he responded, let's do it. So he's got his back. Michael Phelps is going to be there. Here's the assignment now for the table and going for 2. Pick a team or a player or a coach, what have you, a situation, if you will, in the NFL, and find them a professional that this situation needs help with, Manti.
This is a hard task. I think this was hard. Okay, but do you guys know the name Kunishiki?
Nope.
Akebono? Do you know KB?
Nope.
Musashi Maru?
Is that a philosopher?
Are those Pokemon?
Nietzsche?
They're sumo wrestlers.
Okay.
They're sumo wrestlers. And they got Hawaii ties to them. I heard about them growing up.
I know E. Honda.
Yeah, Street Fighter.
I know Yokozuna.
Perfect. Yeah. We could use some E Honda too. Well, the team I got is the Bears, because the Bears, you have a really good quarterback. You have one of the best offensive minds as your head coach, but you need to keep that quarterback on his feet. They gave up 68 sacks last year, and so they need one of those big boys over there to go.
Awesome.
I think Michael Parsons even went over there and was wrestling one time.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes. Yeah, go over there and just learn how to keep your. Look at that. Imagine the O-lineman on the blitz just picking up a DN like that. I think they need a sumo wrestler. Akebono would be a great teacher for them. So
Kyle,
I got
is that the first time on GMFB that a photo has been blurred? I need an editorial history lesson on that, because I got to see that. I got to see it again.
There hasn't been many of those. I'm glad it was, too. Those diapers don't hold everything in. You know what I mean? But I love that. There we go. You got whatever is going down there, it kills. Believe me. We don't want any of that. Manti, that is a perfect answer.
That is well done.
And I'm thinking about E. Honda and Joe Tooney. You win. Yeah. That's what they need. That's what they need.
Well done. Will, what you got?
So we're gonna go to Miami. The Dolphins. They're known for having an interesting head coach, Mick McDaniels. You have speed, finesse, flash. But you haven't won a playoff game since 2000. You went against the Ravens twice, punched in the face. Went against the Steelers, punched in the face. Went against the Bills and KC. So you need someone that's going to bring the toughness. We're going to bring Chuck Liddell. We're going to bring the man that I watched in the mid-2000s. We're going to bring the Iceman all the way down to South Beach. We're not going to the beach. We're going to the Octagon. You cannot win games. You cannot win championship games with finesse. I learned that. I won a Super Bowl with the Giants, and we won with toughness, beating the Patriots. You need to learn how to knock somebody out. He won on a streak from, I think it was 2003 to 2006. We had consecutive knockouts. The last one was over Tito Ortiz. Yeah. And so let's go, man. We need to figure out how can we punch somebody in the mouth, because we cannot win games with finesse. Chuck Liddell, help my Dolphins out, please.
Nice.
Yeah, the Liddell Prime was awesome. That was really fun. Was the Iceman.
The 205 weight class?
I'm going to look at I'm going to look at Deebo Samuel on the Commanders. You know who I want him to hang out with? Luka Doncic. And those guys can just hang out and stay slim, and the wheatgrass and the jogging and the cover of magazines for Luka now. Because both of these guys were taking fire that allegedly, potentially, obviously, they looked like a little bit bigger than they were before. But Luka apparently has slimmed down like crazy. Debo's playing well in Commanders camp. You gotta stay strong. You have to have a support system as the season gets on, and maybe some of your habits fade away. So the two of these guys from Slovenia and South Carolina, perfect match.
Oh my gosh, Kyle.
Listen, Jamie, the food in Texas is different than the food in Cali. so Luka's gonna slim up in Cali. That's what it is, man. The food in Texas is. I gained like 20 pounds in like 2 months.
You guys
got that
went
plant-based stuff out here.
No, that's true. You guys went so with the physicality of your take, like with the sumo and hitting people and Duke and Luka. I hit the books. I'm going to ask the Dallas Cowboys. I think we should just send a couple of like CPAs there, like accountants. Like I think sometimes when we have issues with like our star player, Micah Parsons, like just like get the deal done. Like make certified financial future decision-making plans. So just like one of the most basic or mid jobs. I don't know. I feel like CPA people. I'm a CPA. Like when people say that on an airplane, there's like nowhere that conversation goes after that. You're like, I'm a CPA. But sometimes it's the job that you need the most. So like let's just like send a bunch of CPAs to Dallas and just make sure that we are good financially moving forward. It can be more of a collaborative effort, because it's awkward when you're like signing a tight end to a long-term deal, but you still have like your guy waiting to get a deal done. So I'm going with the CPA for the Cowboys. I was going to pick the Commanders too, but we already got them taken care of.
Well, making it to the NFL Hall of Fame is rare and special as it is, but former Chargers tight end Antonio Gates is making NFL history this Saturday. He officially becomes the first player enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame without ever playing college football. Let's take a look back at Gates' incredible journey to Canton.
I came with a whole different formula, a whole different way of using the tight end position.
Going in zone for Gates, you bet! Touchdown, San Diego!
He was an incredible athlete. He had incredible instincts. Add that timing, trust element to it, it made him unstoppable.
Touchdown, Antonio Gates!
Are you kidding me? A free agent, basketball player, became the all-time tight ends touchdown leader.
Antonio Gates' unlikely road to Canton began at Kent State, where the power forward led the Golden Flashes to the NCAA basketball tournament's Elite Eight. Though he never played a down of college football, his path to pro stardom took an unexpected detour.
I can just remember like it was yesterday, all these NFL scouts was at my basketball game, and I was kind of unsure why they was even there, because in my mind, I'm going to the NBA.
Everyone encouraged him to play football at Kent State, but he just loved basketball. He wanted to be in the gym and playing basketball.
He had a coach that was pushing him to try to go play football and had the option to try to play basketball. And really for him, it was a simple decision. I need to go make a living.
One of our scouts was reviewing all the tight ends, and his name came up, and he said this is potentially a very special individual, and the only tape they had on him was playing in college as a basketball player.
The Chargers took a chance and signed Gates as an undrafted free agent, but a massive challenge was ahead.
The first season, Antonio was really raw. So just understand, like he had no concepts of the passing game or how to run routes.
You know, it's one thing just to kind of run around and be a great athlete. It's another thing to really lock in on the fundamentals of football again.
Blocked by Antonio Gates.
And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, man, that may be a lost cause. You know?
I tried to learn from the guys who I consider some of the best players in the game, and I used that as fuel.
Looking end zone, Gates, touchdown. First NFL touchdown for the rookie out of Kent State, Antonio Gates.
Going into my second year, teammates, a receiver was telling me, he was like, man, it looked like you're going to be the man this year.
And they are really high on Antonio Gates in his second year. He is turning out to be a very special player.
Once he truly learned the playbook, we actually started running plays for Antonio Gates.
Gates has it! He's got it! A thing of beauty!
It was like we opened up the entire array of the offense to Gates. All of these routes that typically would just be designated for like the elite receivers, all of a sudden our second year basketball tight end who's executing all this to perfection.
This kid is really going to be an extraordinary football player.
The first year was kind of me building the confidence.
Great catch, rookie tight end Antonio Gates.
From that point on, it just seems like it snowballed. It was just God's plan.
Jumping, windmilling, touchdown! Antonio Gates has done it!
In any critical situation, you knew the ball was going to go to Gates, and you knew that the defense could do nothing about it.
Chucks it towards the end zone, up in the air, one-hand catch. Antonio Gates, he got it! He's amazing! Touchdown, San Diego!
Over 16 years with the Chargers, Gates finished 4th all-time in receptions and receiving yards among tight ends, and made even more history along the way.
Looking for Gates, going to the end zone. Touchdown, Chargers! Antonio Gates!
He has become the most successful touchdown-catching tight end in NFL history. Greatest of all time, baby. Greatest of all time.
Now, this unique offensive force makes the next leap into football immortality.
KC, it's my honor to welcome you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Wow.
I'm a Hall of Famer, baby.
Get that ball to Canton and grab Antonio's gold jacket while you're there.
There's nobody more deserving to get the gold jacket than Antonio Gates.
Tight ends used to be known as blockers who occasionally caught a pass here and there, and he redefined that position.
The most important thing for me is seeing the reaction that he has, because he's worked so hard for it. He deserves it.
The word dominate, it means master or craft. And I saw that from Antonio, and that's why he was one of the best.
Guys fight, claw, sacrifice to become a Hall of Famer, and you get to a place where it's football heaven.